Welcome everybody. Today we are going to bust some myths as it relates to what general contractors think of subs and subs think of contractors and everything in between. My name is Scott Peeper. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mobilization Funding. For the last 11 years, we've been dealing with these exact scenarios right smack dab in the middle, whether we're helping our construction subcontractor clients or whether we're helping our general contractors find subs that can participate on the work that they know they can cash flow. We've been right in the middle of these situations, and what I'm here to tell you today is some of the common myths that both think about one another that just simply aren't true, and what the solutions are, how we can fix it. Let's start with the myth that all construction subcontractors are flush with cash. Or if you're a general contractor or CFO analyzing construction subcontractors, that you say something like, you know what, I only work with contractors that are flush, or I only work with contractors that can finance their own job. That's a great quality, and I'm here to tell you that a lot of contractors can finance their own job. But what's important is how much financing do they actually need to have of that job? Because as we all know, terms change, things change. For example, if they are paid when paid or paid if paid, if the terms are paid in 30 days, but it actually stretches to 45 or 60, I mean, at what point is a construction subcontractor that's supposed to be flush is not flush anymore? Or is it just good business not to finance a project when it costs or requires you to invest 50, 60, or 70% of the actual cost of the project? I mean, look, if you're a business and you're going to finance something, it is required for you to put in 50% of the actual cost of the project versus 70% of the cost of the project or 20% of the cost of the project. You have different risk profile in that job. You have to be paid for that risk, which means you can't have the same margin that you bid a project at and then also be required to have maybe 20%, maybe 50, or maybe 70% of the cost. It just doesn't work. So let's keep that in mind as we're trying to have these analysis back and forth between whether a subcontractor is doing the right project, doing it correctly, what the requirements are, or even if you're just a general contractor trying to analyze which sub should do the work. It's probably not good to push back on a sub that's telling you that they can't finance that job. When you look at the terms and analyze them and know it's going to stretch past some of these boundary points I've talked about, maybe it's good to have that conversation up front, because you might be passing on a sub that is the most capable, that is going to give you the best performance, but yet just is making a smart business decision not to finance a job, or they know that what it's going to require to finance the job under that term, and they're being honest and upfront with you to figure out a solution. Just keep that in mind. And now, on the flip side, subcontractors, you have to be open to realize that you cannot try to finance a job at 50, 60, 70% of your cost. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you have a $500,000 job and your costs are $400,000 and it's going to require you to put $200,000 into that job before it cash flows itself, sure, no problem. If it requires you to put in $300,000 or $400,000 of that cost before you can get to cash flow positive, that's a different scenario. You have to be upfront whether you can do that or not. Number one, you need to know what those numbers are. Number two, you should communicate to the general contractor that, look, this is 30-day terms. If I'm not paid within 30 days, I can't sign paid if paid or paid when paid, because the requirement of cash outlay is just too great. It's not worth the risk. Even if you had the cash, you shouldn't do that. So be upfront, be assertive, be confident, and general contractors on the other end, pay attention to the subs that are doing that, because those are the best subs. Those are the ones that know their numbers. Those are the ones that are going to perform the best. And those are the ones that have been around long enough and been through some pain, where they're going to be the ones that help you the best on your project achieve success. Assumption number 2, I only have to manage my budget on a monthly basis, says subcontractor to us. And I say, no, you don't. And here's why. Are you paid monthly? Yes. Can you only bill monthly? Yes. But do you order your materials monthly? Only once a month at the same time you bill? Do you pay your labor only once a month? What about your other costs? When you order from your supplier and it's the 5th of the month, Do they allow you to pay them on the 5th of the next month? Or do they actually, if you order on the 5th, they don't care and their terms don't start till the end of the month, meaning you have another really 60 days to pay? What I'm getting at is it's important to manage your cash on a weekly basis, if not even sooner than that, or more frequently. Monthly is just too inconsistent and adds too much risk. If something gets pushed a week or it doesn't matter, the model is just going to get blown up. And if you look at getting paid at the end of the month or paid at the beginning of the month and then paying those expenses, sure, if you're paid like clockwork on the first of the month, all your receivables, and then you have the rest of the month to pay your expenses, yeah, a monthly budget will probably work. But the reality is that's not how cash flow works in a construction, as we all know. So managing your cash flow on a weekly basis so you can determine, do you have enough money for payroll every week? Do you have the money you need to order the materials when the project is ready to order the materials? Then pay for those same materials prior to you being paid. So run a weekly cash flow model. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, keep you in a proactive state making decisions, and give you a lot better opportunity to run the project the way you want, on the schedule you want, with the performance that you want. Assumption number 3, as long as I bid the project, add my margin or my markup, I can take on any project at any time. No, you can't. Here's why. Because every single project, regardless of how you bid it, has a different cadence to it. If you follow the same bid process for all of your jobs, and you put the same margin in there or the same markup, then how come every job doesn't feel the exact same? How come every job doesn't perform exactly the same? How come some jobs run a lot smoother than other jobs? What are those differences? Well, it's because you're paid differently. Sometimes people pay you on time. Sometimes the first few pay-apps pay on time. Sometimes you change your schedule of values. Sometimes the schedule of values has a lot more profit on the front end of it versus the back end of it. Sometimes projects get delayed. My point is, you have to look at each one of these projects as a unique, separate, individual item, because each one of them is going to cash flow a little differently. Even if it's some of them that start in March versus September, or summer versus winter. Each job, every crew, all of these items have an influence on what it's going to run like for you inside your company. And it's critical that you track each of those things separately. Oftentimes, I hear people say, this is going to be the best customer, or this is a great contract. I have a perfect margin. It's going to be my golden ticket. If I just get this job done with this contractor, it's going to open up this much work, etc., etc. Maybe some of that's true, but not every job is going to run financially smooth. And it's super critical that no matter what happens, you have the discipline to put forth a project cash flow so you know exactly how much cash you're going to have out front, in the middle, and ultimately get at the end. Look, every single job you take, it's important not only that you win the job, yes, the revenue is important, but what's important is you actually realize that profit or that margin, or God forbid, even more profit or margin through efficiencies. Having your cash ironed out side by side with your project costs and the schedule you want to keep is critical to making good decisions. And it's also critical for you to not only protect your profit, but also find the efficiencies in the job where you're able to make more profit. So every job is not a golden ticket. Every job will not finish the same exact way that you bid it. But every job that you bid can finish the way you bid it, as long as you know how that job is going to run from a cash flow perspective prior to you ever starting. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Run a cash flow so you can realize the profits, and you can then know how to make sure that every job you win is a golden ticket for you. Assumption number 4, please don't assume that all general contractors actually understand the cash flow that subcontractors work with. I used to think this was the case. Frankly, many of you know my dad had a construction subcontracting business, and I used to think, it was just the way it was, that all GCs knew that. I actually thought for the longest time that before you could be a general contractor, you had to be a subcontractor, and that's just not true either. Here's where I'm going with it. I've worked with a lot of general contractors now, and more often than not, when asked, the general contractor thinks or assumes the subcontractor is making a lot more money than they actually are. Sometimes they actually think they're making even less. Some subcontractors actually know, but the project manager is brand new and they don't know. that project manager is trying to make a name for themselves and they're trying to figure things out. Maybe they just have a certain perspective from certain trades that they're just not aware of yet. And they're casting that assumption over the top of all other subcontractors. Like the margin that someone might make in this trade is automatically assumed across all trades. It's the pain points, the things they have to deal with. That's what every trade or scope has to deal with. And those aren't true. You can't assume that a general contractor knows what you need and understands the pain points and the cash flow that you're going to have to deal with to execute your scope of work for your specific project under the specific terms that they have asked you to accept. So it is critical not to make those assumptions and actually show them. If you need to be paid in 30 days, explain to them why. Show them your cash flow modeling. Show them that maybe you don't show them all your costs, but maybe you show them that, hey, look, I'm going to have to invest 25% of the contract value into this job before it's cash flow positive when I accept 30-day payment terms here with the supplier payments, with the schedule, with weekly payroll, etc. That's not your fault, Mr. General Contractor, but let me explain something to you. If that 30 days stretches to 45, I'm going to have to actually invest 40% of the actual cost of this project. That I cannot do. So what I need you to be able to do for me is I need to be guaranteed that I'm going to be paid in 30 days. I can't sign paid when paid or paid if paid because what I can't do is invest 40% of the cost of this project. I can invest 25, but I can't invest 40. Certainly you're not requiring me on a $500,000 job. I don't think you're asking me to invest $250,000 or $260,000, but I can invest $150,000. That right there shows the general contractor that, yes, you do want to be paid in 30 days. Yes, you are asking for different terms than they want to give you, but you are doing it in a way that shows them why you're asking, and you're explaining it how that will impact the performance of the job and impact your ability to perform the job. And what that can do then is help you guys solve for that problem. And maybe it's not get paid in 30 days guaranteed, but maybe it's a different solution. Maybe it's helping get support or backup for supplier terms that you need that'll help you accomplish the same thing. Maybe it is getting paid a little bit of money if you go over and above that. Who knows? It could be a lot of different ways to solve that problem, but that gets you to the root of the problem, which can then give you the opportunity to have an actual solution for the problem instead of just negotiating terms. Assumption number 5, stop assuming that having financing or getting financing, having a finance partner or taking out a loan is a bad thing, will make you look weak, or is horrible for everybody involved. Yes, there's some negative stigmas on there, and everything I just said can be true if you have the wrong person or you're doing it under the wrong terms. And general contractors, if subs are required to live in this cash flow cycle, just because they don't bring up that they have a cash flow need or just because they don't bring up that they have a financing partner doesn't mean they don't. Most construction subcontractors are so nervous to bring up the fact that they need your help for cash flowing their project. They're not asking you necessarily for money, but they are telling you that they have a finance partner that they actually can use, can help them, and can help you by executing this project better, smoother, faster, for better performance. But they're so nervous and scared that if they bring it up to you, it's going to create angst, problems, or nervousness, or something on your part that'll either get them in trouble with the job, create some kind of negative terms, that they actually don't bring it up. But they still get the finance partner. They just take out one that has no benefit to them, no benefit to you, no care for the project, and all it does is just leverage and create problems. Construction subcontractors, find a lender that can work with you. Find one that gives you the right terms that you need, and then be confident to explain to your general contractor, owner, customer, whoever you work for, why that financing partner is what helps you do what you do, helps you do and accomplish the performance that you're signing up for. And the reason that you can get this job done, along with the other projects and jobs you have under the terms that you have agreed to, are because you have the right financing in place. That means you can use the cash you have on hand, you have the material terms you need, but you also have financing available to you, whether it's lines of credit from a bank or an alternative lender of some kind that you can work with that helps you. And subcontractors, don't just use any money. Getting money just to get money without terms is no better than taking on any project with every single kind of term that doesn't work for you. So you have to find a good lender that you can work with that not only provides you the access to capital you need, but also gives you the terms you need, the payment terms, not just cost, but actually the time. When can you get the money? When can you access the money? Are they going to leverage your customer? Are they lending you the money but just passing off all the associated risks to your general contractor? They don't like that either. So you got to find one that can help you understand construction, but that you can also use and leverage to create better value for you. Just someone giving you money isn't necessarily always the best help. Someone giving you money, but that also can help you create a better opportunity for yourself and the project and your customer. Now that's someone that is going to give a lot of value to the project itself. If you're able to do that and articulate that and show the value for everyone, then you're going to have a much better opportunity to be able to get this done. And then also keep yourself safe, lower your own risk, but more importantly, execute on what you're trying to accomplish. So not just every lender is every lender, not just every cash source is every cash source. So knowing where you're going to get the cash from, but having the right terms to do it, where you're going to spend it, what the cash flow on the project looks like, proper terms up front, that's what setting yourself up for success looks like. That's what setting your customer up for success looks like. And ultimately, getting the project done the way you laid it out, the way you designed it. If this helped you all, I hope it did. Please share the show. Please pass this episode on. Please click subscribe. And make sure people are getting this message. This is one of the most critical things to construction contracting that I think can help not only protect both developer, owner, customer, general contractor, and all the subs and folks that work on a project, but it also is going to help protect the industry. The more we talk about cash flow, finance, the terms that are needed, and having open communications and get rid of these silly assumptions, the better off everyone's going to be. I hope you're all well. God bless you. We'll see you next time.